Hi, this is Jennifer Dickinson, and I'm going to go a few minutes in because the first bit was a technical difficulty, first 2 minutes. So let me get you up to 2 minutes and see if I can just start it from there. And I hope everybody's doing good. Here we go. An hour. And number one on that also is that I could get up an hour early, and I did that. I had a grandchild living in our house the first time I took the bar exam. That was the biggest distraction from a standpoint because he was still in diapers. But now I found out that I could play games with kids, though. Okay, not with a little baby that's in diapers, but you can always do your law studies when a baby's in diapers, when they're sleeping or feeding. Pass it off to the wife. Or now let's say that you're a single mom or a single dad and say that you've got to have the kids on the weekend. So let's play a card game. You hold up a flashcard, you ask the kid, hey, listen, if I can learn this rule, I'll let you stay up a minute past bedtime. So that you, in other words, interact with them. So kids can be a distraction, but you can make that work for you. Ask the kids to help you with chores because you need time to study. They might do that. If you have a spouse, hey, popcorn and movie night. Grandparents that can take care of the kids so that you can study. They can be in the other room. You're in your own quiet room. You've got your earplugs that you can put in and study while they're watching a movie with grandma or with the spouse so that you can study. Movie night, kids treat. You can do 2 essays in the time that they watch a movie. Or you could do 33 MBEs. Making dinner is a distraction. Yes, because you have to think about making dinner. Make a plan a week ahead. What are you going to eat? TV dinners? Yuck. Crock pot? They're a great way to free up your time from dinner. I bought this thing called Instapot that was just absolutely amazing. I could make pulled pork out of a pork roast in less than 2 hours. So there's ways that you can do it. Takeout also works. I had a friend that said Carl's was their friend. So number 5 I had down was social media and the news. Facebook, huge distraction. If you have to go on Facebook every day, that might hurt you. If you have to listen to the news every day, that might hurt your mind. It might distract you from studying. Shut down these accounts. Shut down watching the news on the media. I remember one of my attorneys coming up to me during law school and saying to me, did you see that thing on the news last night about that basketball coach down in San Diego? And I was like, no, because I was studying. I was trying to learn the law. Same thing applies when you're studying for the bar exam. So I have to tell you that I found that you can't just study and work all the time. You also have to have time for yourself, for your family, you've got to unwind. And so my Sundays were my family day. I still got up early on Sunday. I still got an hour in of studying, and I might have got an hour after everybody was asleep. And that's when if you're afraid you're going to wake someone up with your studying and you're viewing a lecture, that's when you use the headphones. Then nobody is disturbed by it. So there's all sorts of things you can do. The doorbell. When the doorbell would ring, that was a distraction. I might be in the middle of typing an essay and the doorbell would ring. I shut off my cell phone. I shut down my email. I did not listen to the doorbell because I had my earplugs in. Okay? So you can do this. If you have to work, if you are working and you're studying for the bar, you still have to eat lunch. You can still do a couple of MBEs. You can still go over rule statements. You can do this. So I tell everybody, find a closet and study. You have to study by your style, though. If you have to learn a rule, the only way you're going to learn it is by your style. So if you make a recipe out of it, make a recipe. You know, I used to always joke with people, and I don't even know her, okay? Ocasio-Cortez, whatever her name is. All I knew was OAC was what the news said. Every time I saw OAC, I thought offer, acceptance, consideration. I didn't think about somebody that's over in Congress in Washington, D.C. I thought about the law. So you turn everything you have into the law. If you make peanut butter cookies and there's 3 ingredients, that's the same thing as OAC, the 3 ingredients you need for contract formation. These are things that you can do. Then once you've got your style and your study plan set up, you have to practice. And in my email, I said the best thing you can do for the written portion is to practice under time conditions. This is where Bar Exam Doctor came in for me, okay? Before Bar Exam Doctor, I didn't study under timed conditions. That was stupid, okay? Bar Exam Doctor was totally online. I had to do an essay, and when I was doing that essay, I was timed to 60 minutes. And if I wasn't finished, boom, that essay disappeared on my screen. That taught me something. That taught me that I had to discipline myself, read the essay fact patterns first, read what the questions were that I needed to answer, and sit and just think about it before I started typing, and realize that if I typed in order, that I probably could answer it really relatively easy if I knew the rules. So if there was a question that says, was there a contract formation? I knew I had to put down OAC, and then I had to put down defenses. You know, a defense of a contract formation is capacity. That's one. But the whole point that I'm trying to make is that when you're practicing, you should practice as closely as possible to what you're going to be doing on the actual exam. Timed conditions on every essay that you practice. And then after you're done, review the model answer. What Todd did for me was I was, within 48 hours, I think. Todd, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. But within 48 hours, I had an answer from Bar Exam Doctor what my score was, and it was detailed all the things that I missed. I didn't need to read a model answer. I just read the stuff that was given to me by the grader to know, okay, this is what I missed. Okay. And I never missed that again. So that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you do essays and PTs in timed condition. And when you do those things in timed condition, after you're done, if you don't have a program, a bar review, like Bar Exam Doctor, Barbary, Kaplan, I don't care who you have, if somebody isn't grading your test, you've got to compare that to a released answer. And the reason you compare it to the released answer is to see what you missed. And if you don't even know how to do that, and you don't have a bar review program, then you're putting yourself at risk of failing the exam because you don't have any input. So a self-evaluation is something you can do on an essay after you've had somebody else grade an essay or two for you. I know that Bar Exam Doctor also will look at your past scores and evaluate some of the things that you need. I know he did it for a good friend of mine that just passed. So don't think that these guys aren't there to help you. They are, and they have the experience to do this. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that it's great to do 33 MBEs, but if you just do the 33 MBEs and don't evaluate the rules you missed, then you're not going to get the MBEs right. You need to figure out why you missed an MBE. And I don't tell people to spend a whole lot of time on this. I know that there are people that go out there and say, oh, write down the rules. Well, on some of them I did, but not on RAP. If I couldn't get RAP in basically a minute or two, then I just passed it over. Because even in the real world, real lawyers like you are going to be after you pass this exam, have problems with RAP. Okay. So the bar exam is meant to practice overall the rules that you need to know to practice. So don't beat yourself up if you get an answer wrong. That's okay. Just say to yourself, okay, let me see what the explanation is, why I got it wrong. And if you understand it, then good, you got it. Okay. And remember, everyone else is different. So what might have worked for me, like using to go over flashcards and, telling them that they're going to get a treat of ice cream if I get the rule right, or whatever you use, it might not work for you, but it worked for me. Singing the 10 amendments, the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, that I got off of a movie with Melanie Griffith, and I made up my own. I did it to the same 12 Days of Christmas, but I made up my own things, and I sing off key. I'm horrible, but it didn't matter. Nobody else needed to hear it. Only I needed to hear it because I'm 40% audio. I'm also 40% visual. So it helped by looking at it and reading it and then singing it and then singing it again. Those things you can do. You can do it. You can tailor your study methods to your techniques. And the last thing that I have to say is that when it gets to the time, if you're doing, let's say that you're doing 5 essays this week, okay? That's pretty good. If you do 1 PT this week, that's very good, okay? If you do, say, 100 MBEs and you're scoring in the high 60 percentile, that's very good in my book. But that might not be very good in your book, okay? When you get closer to the test, you're going to have more anxiety and you need to learn how to control it any way you can. Pretend that you're not taking the exam. Pretend it's a trial run. Pretend that, I don't know, that you're a lawyer already and every essay that you read is an actual issue that's brought to you in your office. Treat it that way. Instead of treating this like, oh my God, this is like my livelihood. I have heard that people have had a lot of problems coping with failure. Well, you're going to fail in court. I have. You're going to fail in negotiations. I have. I've seen other attorneys do it too. I've seen one case, excuse me one sec. One case where a family was devastated by the outcome, okay? And I remember the social worker telling me, and this isn't my case, it was a case a long time ago, she telling me, you get to go to sleep at night, you do, but that family just got destroyed. But that wasn't me she was talking to, it was someone else. But that is the whole point, is that when you're sitting down at that bar exam, if you treat it like you are a lawyer and you have a professional responsibility and you know the law, even if you don't know the law, you can at least hit the issues that you do know, and you can write and weave. Remember that every issue that you have, there's a rule. If you know the rule and you can match the elements of that rule to the facts in the essay fact pattern, you're going to get that issue and the grader's going to see it. And that's what this is about. You putting down on paper what the examiner wants. So that's all I have to say. And I know that Todd has got a lot to say, and I took up more time than I thought I would tonight. Todd, it's all yours.
Hi, everybody. My name is Todd. I'm the owner of Bar Exam Doctor. We have obviously our former student, Jennifer, speaking, and we're happy to help that she passed the bar exam. And we've helped lots of other of her study group people pass the bar exam, one recently. And, our goal is obviously to help people pass the bar exam. And we're not one of those big bar reviews where you cost an arm and a leg, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. And I think actually, funny enough, I think the trend is going towards a cheaper type bar review because everything is more modern and online and things like that. Still to this day, I think we're one of very, very few where you can actually do fully an essay or PT online. I don't think it's really possible on your phone, but most of our students use mobile devices now. I think years ago we had people using iPads, and it was interesting. And I had to convert some of our software on our website so people could do iPads. I thought that was crazy back then. And literally, they had their little keyboard and they were attaching it to their screen, and they were doing full-on essays and PTs with an iPad. So modernly now, a typical Barbie does not need to cost, $5,000-6,000. In addition, and there's also the whole other thing, which is just the whole, if you don't try Barbie, you got to try them once. Look, don't fall for that stuff. Okay. It's not really about Barbie just because everyone else is doing it. It's not about that. I say this a million times to a million people. Those people that passed after using Barbary probably would have passed no matter what they used. They are just people. Some people are just really good, smart test takers. There aren't that many, but they're out there. And so those people, sometimes they're in lower end law schools, sometimes they're in high end law schools with top ABA, and sometimes just California credit. It makes no difference. But those kind of people, they're going to pass no matter what. So we tend to help a lot of those other people, the people who maybe have taken it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, but we figure out where they're going wrong and we get them over that hump. And it's okay. I mean, really, it's okay. There are so many freaking lawyers out there. It's not a big deal. There's no shortage. And you know what? At the end of the day, that same game of figuring out where you went wrong to basically pass the bar exam is the next row is going to be like, all right, now you're going to figure out what's going to make you more successful than the other lawyer down the street. How are you going to get the clients? Because the other guy has been around a little bit longer, but so what? Everyone is going to figure out what works for them. As Jennifer was pointing out, let's talk about dealing with like memorization and your studying. Obviously you want to study in the right type of area in your house or in a room where it's just like the real thing. You don't want to have to go open the door because someone's coming over or the dog wants to come in or anything like that. You want to make it as real as possible. And obviously with stress and anxiety, you want to create that stressful environment as close as possible when you're practicing and as early as possible. A lot of our students have already signed up. We have a few spots left, and we tell them, like, start now, like do at least 1 to 2 essays a week. And as Jennifer was pointing out, you want to basically get an exam graded by a qualified person. Okay. If you don't have it graded by a qualified person, you're wasting your freaking time. You really are. It is waste of time. Okay. You might as well go and throw like a rock out at a freaking tree because it's just as good. Okay. So the idea is that you want a qualified person. What's a qualified person? That's a person who basically went to law school, passed the bar exam, maybe in several states, and then basically has helped people pass. They know how to teach someone to figure out where they're going wrong. Okay. Because just because a person passed the bar does not make them a qualified person to basically help you pass. Okay. Like some of our graders that we have, one of them is a former California bar exam grader. And, she's unique in that she has graded so many exams and she's very special. I just try to give her what I can to have her grade exams, but she's not very personal. She doesn't really want to give hugs or anything like that. Not like good COVID, but the reality is we use her because she has really good experience. She has a really good knowledge of what they're looking for. And look, there's no magic answer. There's no special list. And it's like, oh, grab that list and then check it all off. And you're like, look, there's a lot of factors that go into a score. Okay. And, one of the things we say is you want to have your exam graded by multiple people. Okay. So what we do is when the exam is taken, we have it randomly assigned to different graders. So that way your writing style is good for a lot of different views. Okay. Because a lot of times most bar reviews are all graded by one person. And so your writing style is catered to that one person because you start at a low score and you work your way up. So at the end of the day, you are probably got better, but again, you're one writing style. You want to have a writing style that's kind of could be looked at by 2 or 3 other people. They still would probably come up with the same score. It is very, very common that when you get in the reread, that your score goes down. And again, it's always that question we ask the students, which is, okay, so which bar review did you use and who graded them? And they'll say, oh yeah, I had them all graded by whoever. And again, that's why, because that writing style maybe was fine for the first grader, but by the time they got in the second and they got in the reread, guess what? They didn't like that stuff. And that's the issue. You want to have a writing style that's kind of goes across the board where anyone can look at it and knows what they're looking at and say, all right, this looks like a passing answer. As Jennifer is pointing out, kind of like fake it till you make it, right? So the idea is like when you're in the bar exam world and you're taking the bar exam, just with the stress and anxiety, try to put yourself in a thing just like I already passed. Okay. I'm doing an assignment right now for the managing attorney of the firm. And just happen to be, look, you're literally at home right now. So like this could be the case, right? You could literally get an assignment from a supervising managing attorney that's here's the task, here's the stuff, right? And now go write a memo, right? If you just break it down, come on. In a year or two, we don't know if you're going to be in your bedroom anymore taking the bar exam. You could be back to a big room, okay? This is a very special time and you want to take advantage of it. And you can almost frame your mind to this kind of world and take advantage of it, because it's hard to believe that to yourself when you're literally in the big room with millions of other people, with 1,000 people in a room or so in Ontario or other locations, versus you're literally comfortably in your room and you're literally doing it in an environment that you feel comfortable. So those are all different things that are good and helpful. And the other thing I just want to point out in terms of mnemonics and things like that, again, as Jennifer was pointing out, you want things that are basically good for you to remember, that are good for you in terms of rule statements. Look, I don't think you should reword things. I think you should still use the right buzzwords that are from Barbary. There's nothing wrong with those. You want to be with the herd. But at the end of the day, you want to memorize them the best way you can memorize them. As Jennifer is pointing out, she said that I think it's AOC or OAC, whichever. But Miss Cortez, as they reference, if you listen to like AM 640 with Ben Shapiro, he loves her. He always says AOC. But anyways, it's those mnemonics, and you can even spell it wrong. But if you remember it, it doesn't matter, right? It's just a way for you to remember. The more stuff you can remember, not to remember like I remember every single element for every single. Who cares about that? It's the key stuff that you need to remember. It's the remembering how to approach an exam and make sure you conclude and you do a good analysis. It's the making sure how to approach a defamation question or approach a breach of contract question, or going through the damages and making sure you know all the elements of specific performance, or just knowing that when you're doing a torts question, there's probably some remedies you need to discuss. Those are all key things to mention. And one thing I just want to point out, because I noticed in the past, sorry.
I'm just gonna say that we have a hand raised, and I'm gonna unmute her and let her make her comment. Go ahead.
I think she's muted. There you go.
Hey, hi. Can you hear me now? Hi, my name is Harshi. I'm a foreign qualified attorney and I'm taking the UBE. So I have some problem with memorization. So how do we actually do it, and what should be the content? The materials are really huge and vast, and I don't know what exactly to pick and how to memorize. Is there a technique or a tip that I can follow?
Rishi, where are you taking the exam?
Washington, state of Washington.
Okay, so the state of Washington has their subject matters that they're going to be testing on, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and did you sign up for a bar review program?
Yes, I have.
Could you tell me what bar review program you signed up for?
People Law, People Bar.
Okay, so do they give you study materials of each subject area?
Yes, they have. That's why
okay,
I'm
so
difficult to figure.
In each of the subject matters, do they have a table of contents?
No, the People Bar works differently. They don't give you outlines, and we have to sit in the class live session and write our own outlines.
Wow. Okay, so in California, they even lay out the subject matters, and when you sign up for a bar review program, they have like a book that has all the subjects in it, and it has a table of contents for either one. I'm going to share my screen real quick to show you what I'm talking about, okay?
Okay.
So I used Bar Passers in 2015, and they gave us these outlines. Can you see? I clicked on business association.
No, I cannot see a screen yet.
Oh, okay. It's coming up now. Hold on. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, the business associations, chapter
Yes.
4.
Okay, so see, this
Okay.
is what a bar review program gives you, and then they give you this table of contents. Okay, so the first thing that it says here is de jure corporation, de facto corporation. I would have to tell you that you need these table of contents so that you can write a rule right after the actual item, like alter ego, undercapitalization, deep rock. If you can get a table of contents for each subject matter and you can write your rules, you will find what rules you do not know. Does that make sense?
Sure. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, that's very helpful. That's very
Okay.
helpful. And do we have to really take the exact terms, or can we just rephrase it?
I'm going to let Todd answer that question.
Well, you know
Okay.
what I would do?
Thank you, Jennifer.
I would recommend that you go and grab a bunch of UB questions for each of the subjects. As you can see on the subjects list, I have a list right here. And, they still use a lot of the standard subjects like criminal law and contracts and things like that, torts, real property. They're testing the general areas. So if you get access to a bunch of past questions, you're going to see that they're just like in California, there's commonly tested areas that they test over and over around the same subjects. So you can start with that. Then you can break down those elements, and then you can make mnemonics for those elements. So in torts, you're still going to be responsible for negligence, even on a UBE versus non-UBE in California. It makes no difference. So you shouldn't have to start from scratch. You can pull outlines from just about anywhere on the internet. I wouldn't be handwriting outlines from scratch. Now, as you were mentioning about buzzwords and using your own rephrasing, like I said earlier, Barbary, in terms of their buzzwords, are my suggestion, because that's the majority, right? Like 80% or probably more of people use Barbary for everything, every bar exam out there in the world, right? So their Convisor book, which they have for California, you pull out those buzzwords, then those are your words, and there's not that many. Like, I think it's very overwhelming if you don't have it all in front of you. But if you break it down that way, it won't feel so overwhelming, and you should be able to manage it and go that route. But yeah, let that kind of guide you, and definitely not write your own outlines from beginning to end. You're going to spend weeks and months doing that, and it's going to be overwhelming, and you're not going to know what's important and what's not.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that. And how do I really pick up the Barbary buzzwords? Because I'm not signed up for Barbary program.
You would need to buy a book. You can probably buy a used copy on eBay or Amazon for a quarter of the price.
Is there a book suggestion? I mean, just one book that I can buy?
Yeah, Barbary Convisor. I would recommend
For
the
the
Barbary
Convisor.
Convisor.
Is there an edition or a year?
Anything lasts a few years. Go ahead, Jennifer.
I'm going to put it in the chat. It's called Barbary Convisor, and you can actually do a Google search or an Amazon search, and I'm sure you'll find it. I think I spelled it right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And you said this is helpful in getting the buzzwords, right?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. I'll try that out. Thank you.
All right. I hope that helped. I know that we usually end at 6:30. If there's any other questions, feel free to ask us. We're still here for you. If not, then we'll see you next week. Again, remember, distractions, keep them to a minimum during your study time, okay? That's really, really important. Social media can wait. The news can wait. You need to be starting your studying now, and I guess we'll see you next week. I'm going to do a full-on performance test next week, and I hope you're all here for it.
Do you also offer tutoring?
Oh, me? No, I'm a lawyer.
No, I mean the bar exam doctor.
Yes, of course. You can contact us anytime. You can check out our website. Just send me an email from our website. It's
is there an email that you can share with me?
Yeah, info@barexamdoctor.com.
Okay. You also offer UBU tutoring, right?
Yeah, again, your tutoring on UBEs is basically just general. It's not specific to a state, so it's kind of more general. That's where the world is heading. MB is multi-state, and then the UBE, which is it's uniform bar examination for essays. So it's just more general. It's not state specific. So it's actually, you can find people who are lawyers in other states who can probably help you in any regard, because again, it's more general. It's just they have a few very specific topics, but generally speaking, that's where the kind of the bars and more states are joining the UB world. It's actually a little easier. But yeah, we'd be more than happy to help. So just send us an email to the website and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Yeah,